All right, guys, you know how big of an ECU football fan I am. Started back in '83 for me. They had some down years, but then they got back on track, and this guy was a big part of that, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I'm talking about former linebacker from ECU, wore number 44, Mr. Zeek from Gastonia, North Carolina. He was at ECU from 2012 2015, and listen to these stats. His junior year, one of the best linebackers, not just in the state, not just in his conference, but in the nation. 140 tackles, 2 interceptions, one who we were just talking about before we came on the air right then, in that big win over Carolina at Ficklin Stadium. He took it all the way back for a touchdown. I was sitting right down there. I was coming up into the stands and saw him go by, and I was like, wow. Welcome to the show, Mr. Bigger. Can't tell you how big of a thrill it is to be able to interview you tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I'm very welcome. I'm very excited.
All right, appreciate it. I appreciate you taking your time today. Just a little bit of background on you. From Gastonia. I know football. Of course, football is your sport, but were there other sports that you played in high school?
Of course, yes. I played basketball. It was more football than basketball. So I did do that all the way to my senior year. And them 2 sports were my main sports. Never looked at nothing else. Ran track, probably like 1 or 2 track meets, but that wasn't nothing that I liked doing. I just didn't like to run. I just like playing where there's a ball in play. If there's a basketball there, there's a football there. I'm very competitive. So them are the 2 main sports.
Okay. So pretty much you knew from early on that football was going to be your sport, right?
I didn't know really. Everybody in my family played basketball. I'm the only one in my family, especially my immediate family right there in the middle. Everybody I live with, everybody played basketball. Nobody played football. My father said he played football, but I don't believe it. You know, he said he played 1 year and then he figured out it wasn't for him. So I was the only one that came out playing a tough and physical sport.
Right. Okay, so we know ECU was in the mix for you at football. What other schools were trying to get you to come play football for?
Oh, man, I had a lot at the time. I had ECU, I had NC State, I had Duke. I was actually committed to Duke before I came to Greenville and decommitted, and also, came into rough era at the time.
Right.
So I was committed to Duke. I was going there. I had a couple. There was a lot of people that really didn't like my style of play or what I brought to the game. So I had a lot of offers being taken away from me going down to the end. Which was some coaches just didn't, look my way, which is NC State. North Carolina didn't want me. Nobody really in the state wanted me unless it was ECU and Duke, and I really didn't know that about ECU until my senior year. And they had offered me early, and I didn't know anything about it. I guess it was hidden from me, or I don't know, but then I found out my senior year about ECU, and Coach Kirkpatrick came in there. Coach K came and talked to me, and it went from there.
Okay, well, what changed your, when you say you decommitted from Duke, what changed your mind and it made you decide ECU was your choice?
Oh, man, football, point blank period. It was a place when I got there. Obviously, I never got to go to a game at ECU before I got there.
Right.
Never was able to enjoy a game or find out what it was about. It was just when I got there that night, I was in a rush. Just got through from a basketball game. I was in a rush that night for my official visit and got down there, man, and it was bananas. If that's the right word to use, It was just crazy. And not knowing about the background of ECU when I got there, and I see Chris Johnson, I see CJ, I see Ed Wilson, I see Garrard, I see a lot of people that's been there, Dwayne Harris, and a lot of the boys that's been there and went to the NFL, and it really kind of interested me at the time. I knew how big of a football place it was. Everybody loved football. It wasn't just like it was a basketball school, it was football and baseball school, so I knew what I was getting myself into. And that made the decision a lot easier. And being around Ruff, man, he was the captain of the ship, and he believed in us as much as we believed in him, and that's what did it.
Well, so your first impressions of Greenville, or that city, and the fans there, pretty much, they were bananas, they were crazy, right?
It was wild. Even just going out with some of the receivers, man, Bodie, and a lot of the old guys who took me underneath their wing on my official visit. Maurice Falls, which was my cousin, use some gasoline around this area also. So it was just being able to go there and just seeing everything that was happening. Of course, the parties. Of course, going to meet with all the football players and just the whole environment, man. It was something I couldn't beat. And at the time, Duke didn't have nothing on that.
Right.
And my decision was to go play football and go to a football school, and that's all I knew. I saw all the things about playing against Miami back in the day and different things about the Peach Bowls and stuff like that. So I was excited, man, from that point, and it was just a non-brainer. And like Coach Ruff said at the time, if you want some, get some. And at that point, I wanted some, so I was going to get me some. You know, so it was a great time and a lot of memories. And you know, sometimes you wish you could go do it again, but at the end of the day, I done what I was supposed to do, and I'm thankful and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be an alumni ECU now and be able to support the rest of it.
Right. Now, you talked about Coach Ruff, and and you say you believed in him as much as he believed in y'all. How was it playing for that guy? I've never got to talk to him one time, but just being around him for that short time kind of made you believe it's somebody that you want to walk through a brick wall for.
Oh yeah, of course. Always, man. It was just things he would say. He knew the right things to say. He's been there before. He was an ECU grad. He was an alumni. He's played football there. He's been in our shoes. You know, he's been in the same meeting rooms that we were in at the time. So, you know, everything he knew and what he told us all came true. Like, he would tell us something, and the next day it would happen. And it's like, damn, you know, but he's been there before. You know, when you've been an ECU alum and you're the head coach, it's really hard to turn that decision down because you know everything. You've been around the school. You are telling me exactly what's going to happen in the school and how everything's going to work. And from there, it was just like a no-brainer. Right. You know, it was a no-brainer. And he showed so much love, man. He took care of the boys. With us as a family, we was his only boys, you know, as far as his family and his daughters and things. So he took care of us like we was his son. And he meant everything he said, and he meant everything he did. He did everything the right way, and he approached us on things like a father figure. Everything. He was more than a coach. It was more like a family there at the time. So when he left, you know, obviously my senior year when things happened, and so I didn't get to play underneath no other coach or anything like that. So that's the only view I could see, man. We had a great time. We was ranked 16th in the nation at one point, you know. So we fall till we fall, you know. And then our senior year, we had a few injuries that set us back, and that's where it went to, you know. And now they're on a different path, and I'm with it. I'm looking on ECU, and I'm looking to see them get better and better each and every year.
Well, you know, when all that went down with Coach Ruff and after your senior year, I don't know about you, but you know, you talked about the injuries y'all had, and you still were 5-7, and look at the talent on offense that you lost. I mean, not just on the field, but on the sidelines. I mean, Lincoln Riley leaves. Shane Carden graduates, Justin Hardy graduates, among others. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, you've got to, I won't say rebuild when you lose something like that, but you got to reload. And I just don't think he got a fair shake with that whole situation.
Yeah, I don't believe so either. But you know, hey, it ain't much we can possibly say. But I feel like that year, man, we came out. We had a great quarterback. He ended up getting hurt, which was Ben Kirk. He ended up getting hurt 2 weeks before our first season.
Right, I remember.
The first game of the season. You know, so I mean, it was a freak accident, and I'm sitting there practically watching. He pulls the ball. He's running down the sideline. He goes to step out of bounds and tears his ACL. No one touched him. Yeah. You know, no one puts a hand on him, and it was just a freak accident. So now we're looking at like, okay, we brought James Summers in which he was going to be a receiver at the time, and now we're looking at like, damn, we're a week away from our first game, and we don't have a starting quarterback. You know, so it was really like, oh man, what we gonna do? And we got Kemp, and then we have James Summers, and then we mix it back and forth. So it was tough. It was really tough to get back to our P's and Q's at the time because, I mean, we already bought into who was going to be what and who was going to start and who was going to do this. And then when something happened a week before the first game like that, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have more injuries during that time, and now you got to go find a third-string quarterback or a backup, you know, things like that we wasn't expecting. And, I mean, you have to be ready for that in the game, but sometimes it's unexpected, and you know, you got to go out there and fight. And I mean, it could have been worse. We went 5-7, but it was a great season.
Yeah, you know, I mean, 5-7, considered, like I said, considering what you had lost from graduation and the injuries and, you know, the situation with Binkert, you know, 5-7. I think he did a pretty good job with that team at 5-7, considering everything that went on. And you know, I've been kind of outspoken about it, about him getting a raw deal, and you know, I just think he's a great guy, and he just got done wrong. And for the school, and I'm not going to blame it on the school as a whole, but you know, the people that were in charge there, which are gone now, for him to be an alumni and to get done like that, I just think that was totally wrong. But
yeah, definitely, and everybody has their own opinion. And for me, myself, and I felt the same way. Just for being underneath his wing and knowing the things he's done for the school and the way he pushed himself, and not only that, the way he advertised himself and how much he loved that school.
He did.
You know, he really was full in purple and gold. That's what he bled. You know, so, and that's understandable with you wearing that uniform back in the 80s, or, you know, when you played, you know, so everything comes back, and everybody was coming back to really feeling the shoes, man. We had so many alumni come talk to us and reach out to us, things like that. So it was going well, and then, you know, bam, something hit you in the face like that, and it's just like, wow, what can we do? And with me being a senior, it's like, okay, man, I'm going to the NFL now. There's not much I could do, but it really hurt. When I got the call and found out, it was just like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, what did he do to deserve that?
Exactly.
You know, so it was really a speechless moment. And at that time, I just remember getting a phone call right then and there on campus and saying he got fired. I'm like, who? And they said it again. I'm like, no way. You know, so, and from there it went there. And I'm happy and I'm proud of what he got going on now at Oklahoma.
That's
and
right.
Raleigh. And, you know, things happen for a reason, you know, and now they're doing big things there, and I'm really happy for them. Tip my hats off to them.
Right. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Your freshman year, you finished 8-5, 7-1 in the conference. Let's talk about this crazy game against Marshall. I don't know if how well you remember this game. 65-59 and 2 overtimes. I mean, just a shootout. I mean, I know on the defensive side of the ball, I played high school, and I can't imagine in college. But that had to be exhausting for for the defense people.
Oh man, exhaustion is not the word. That game was a memorable game. Like, you would never forget that game. That was the game that got us going bowling.
Right.
Know? So and we went to a bowl that year, and I just remember just sitting there, man, on the side, and I'm watching. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, what is going on? This is something that I've never seen. The boys going back to back. How many overtimes we're going to go? We're going to break the record. You know, a lot of different things like that go in your mind.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there like, please don't score, Marshall don't score, please don't score. And then you look at us, and then we score at the end and things like that. And you see people rolling their helmets and throwing. I remember Hardy just rolled his helmet down the field. And that was a special moment, because that's what started it.
Yeah, that's pretty
much
there,
85. That started the mojo. That's where we started feeling our stuff. We got to the point where everything started bonded as one. And once that happened, we never looked back. We was on the way to being the best team we could possibly be. So that was a great start from, and a great memorable moment for us.
Okay, your sophomore year, y'all go 10-3, 6-2 in the conference, but you get probably the most satisfying wins of the season. I have to imagine, especially for you, talking about how Carolina and State kind of backed away from you. You go over to Chapel Hill, you go over to Raleigh. I mean, put 55 on the board at Chapel Hill. What was that? What was that day like? I mean, especially for you before the game. I know it didn't take a lot when you're going to Chapel Hill, playing the Tar Heels, especially with the whole the background with ECU and UNC, and with your background with UNC. How did that feel that day, getting that big win, putting 55 on the board against Carolina at their place?
Oh man, it felt great. That day, it was just so, everybody was tuned in, and that was actually the game before. I want to say the game before I first start. Actually, before my first start.
Right.
I ended up starting against D-Tech that game beforehand. That be 14-10. That was my first start ever. So going into that game, it was just like it was a killer's mentality. Just
right.
because so many schools in North Carolina dropped me, which we were just talking about that, and North Carolina didn't want nothing to do with me. And I was very competitive, and my god brother went to North Carolina, which we came out the same year, went to the same high school, and then I had a couple of dudes that came from Gastonia that played at different high schools, my rivalry high schools that played at Hus. That played at Carolina, and it was just like, hey man, it's time to play ball. And at that time, getting on the field, it was just like, y'all didn't want me, so I'm gonna show you what I'm all about. That was the mindset, and it was more of a team thing, but then it was an individual thing into me too. Like, yeah, it's time to show what you missed out on. And we went out there and we did what we did, and we had the bragging rights, you know. And then we go to the state, and oh man, it turned into a whole Pirate Nation thing where they started screaming purple or gold in NC State's stadium. So it was amazing, man. It was showing how much we was taking over the Carolinas.
Well,
that's what we believed in.
That's pretty much when the whole logo Our State started, and when Shane does the bicep flex with the tattoo on it, that would really started everything there at the Carolina game. But the State game, you know, with the whole background with State, getting the win over them at their place, that was big too. You go to the Beef O'Brady Bowl that year, and you beat Ohio 37-20. That had to be big for you getting your. I think that was the first bowl win you had.
First bowl win. Yep, correct.
So
correct, and that was great. That was something that we needed to get on our high horse to get us going, man. And that was a great game. Started out slow, but ended up finishing that game real well, man. That was the first bowl.
All right, you have to ask you about your defensive coordinator, Rick Smith. What was it like playing for Coach Smith?
Oh man, it was great. It was great. Very knowledgeable person. Been there and done it also. He was at ECU one time before. So it was great getting to know him, getting to know his intangibles, getting to know what type of things he thought about as far as defensive schemes and things like that. And just being well known, man, and being interested in different schemes. Right. And he was very interested in different things. And so it was nice, man. Being in that 3-4 defense, it was a great scheme for us just because of how fast of a team we was at that time. And that's what he stalled in, and we went from there.
Yeah. So your junior year, you come out, there's big expectations there. You start off, A&T game, that's pretty much a blowout. Then you go to South Carolina. You lose that 33-23. That was a really good game, though. South Carolina had a good team that year. But then Carolina comes to Ficklin, and I was at this game. I can remember sitting there, and and not to say I didn't think we would win, but I never thought 70 points, we would put 70 points on the board against them. And I remember all week, and I cannot remember his name now to save my life, one of the Carolina defensive backs just talking all week.
Would you want me to help you? Tim Scott.
Is that okay? Is that his name?
I would never forget it. It was Tim Scott. I'd never forget it.
And you know what I can't, and I coached some high school football, and I don't believe in giving a team bulletin board material. And like I said, with Carolina and y'all, you don't need anything else to pump you up for that game, especially when they're coming to Ficklin.
You don't.
But to have this guy talking all that junk about ECU all week and how they're going to beat ECU and all this stuff, that just fueled the fire even more. Right? It had to.
It did a lot. It was the words that came out of his mouth was something that never should have. And that was fueled us. And that was, we was the little brothers. They was the big brothers.
Yeah.
Like, wow, we just put 55 on our last year. So now that, it was so crazy because we had just came off of Virginia Tech win.
Right.
We had just beat Virginia Tech at VTech. And then it's like, okay, we're showing you we can play with the ACC, and then you come with this. talking about you gonna beat us and we're the little brothers and things like that. So the mindset was really to just go and just beat the brakes off of them. That was the mindset. It was not let them score, not let them do anything. And I think what really got us ticked off was the fake field goal. When they did that fake field goal,
I remember
just to score on us. Oh man, they did it. Yeah,
they did it. Yeah, I remember.
Like, wow, you really have to score. So it kind of threw us off. Like, okay, and from there we was locked in. We was locked in from there, and the points just kept tallying. And that offense just kept walking off the field with their heads down, and that's something we liked. And after the game, we didn't really want to speak. We were still pissed off that time. So we just felt like the words that came out of his mouth shouldn't have been there, and we had to do what we had to do. And ever since then, we continue to do what we have to do against North Carolina.
Yeah, like I said, we talked about earlier, the big play for you of that game, right at the start of the second half, picking off the pass, taking it back for a touchdown, and that just set the whole second half in motion. The offense took over. I was just, like I said, my daughter, that was her first ever college football game, and she was hooked on ECU football after that. Everybody remembered, anybody that was at that game, even if you weren't at the game, remembers the end of the third quarter, the sky behind Ficklin turned purple. I was saying, this is so fitting right here. I mean, it just gives you goosebumps right now talking about it. But and then seeing the Carolina fans left early, and but 70-41 was the final score. I do remember the Carolina coach this year before they came to play at Ficklin said he didn't remember what happened at that game. He didn't remember the score of that game the last time they came over here. I said, well, I would probably want to forget it too if I got 70 put on me. Okay, so
that was.
Y'all, like you said, you got the big win over Virginia Tech, but you finished kind of on a slump. The last lose 2 in a row to end the season, and that's it. The UCF loss was really hard,
man.
really hard to take that.
It was tough.
Yeah, I can imagine it was tough for me when I was sitting here watching on TV, and I know it was tough for y'all. But then to lose to Florida in the bowl game, but you finished with 140 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 1 TD. Probably one of the best linebackers in the nation. Now, did it ever enter your mind after your junior year? Were you getting calls saying you should go ahead and go to the NFL now?
At the time, I didn't, and I was wondering. I was just thinking in my head, like, should I leave? Should I give a call? Should I reach out and see what my stock will be like? Should I do this? Should I do that? But then it was just like, man, I'm here. My senior year, I'm about done with my degree. Let me go ahead and get it. Which I could have came back and got it, but it was just, hey, man, I stalled myself. I told Coach Ruff I will come out here and I'll be the best possible. And I promised Coach K I'll be the best linebacker that, they ever recruited, Coach Wiley. And it was just, okay, my senior year, I can't leave him. Let me go and put another year underneath my belt and get everything that I've accomplished. So, really, I don't know. In this time where I go back and think, if I would have left, what would have happened?
Right.
But things happen for a reason, and obviously my senior year, it went well. It didn't go as good as my junior year. I ended up breaking my hand, so I played with the Cavs for like 5 or 6 games.
Right.
So it really eliminated some of my attack skills and some of my different attacks and different strikes to get to the ball and get to different places. And then teams started running away. Started running towards my hand that we broke and running away. So it was different things that affected me that time with no excuses being made. I ended up with 100 tackles.
Right.
That time.
Still a good year. Still a good year.
Yeah, still a pretty decent year.
Yeah.
Still a pretty decent year. Wasn't good for me in my mind. In my state of mind, I was really upset because there was a lot of close games we lost our senior year, which was the Temple game. That was really big because I knew me and Tyler were the top defensive players, everybody was talking about. So, of course, you want that win. You don't want nobody else to win, that you want that win. And what people don't understand, sometimes the wins, they help your draft stock,
Exactly.
So, therefore, it got a little tough, and I got a little aggravated at times, but we made it through there. And like I said, the 5-7 season, it couldn't have been any better. It could have been worse. So it was just like, okay, we still got the win over VTech.
That's
hey, who thought that? So, but us, who thought that but us. Nobody gave us a chance. Nobody gave us the opportunity during that time. And we came out and won some games and lost some tough games, and most of them were close that year.
Right.
I think every game we lost was probably 7-14.
Yeah, it was
even
close.
Even the Florida game in Florida, we lost, about 6-7 points?
I think so.
With the ball in our hand, going in, and they throw the ball, and it slips out of his hand in rainy weather, and they jump on it, and that's ball game.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, we could have beat them. We were down by 6.
Well,
that one touchdown would have won the game.
And you're playing with a guy. Summers really, at times he was so explosive running the ball. He surprised me. That Virginia Tech game, I think everybody was like, wow, where did this guy come from? You got a 35-28 win, and then you play right there. You're playing right there with Florida, like you said, and some tough losses that year. But I know this is going to be hard for you to answer this next question, but because you had so many great moments. What do you feel like your best moment at ECU was?
Oh man, my best moment. I can say the Carolina game. Man, I really wanted to come in and break the record. Like I did not know how many tackles I had that game until I got to the sideline and didn't play the whole fourth quarter. Really. So when I got there in the third quarter, one of the boys came outside and said, "Well, you got 17 tackles." I said, "Huh?" I said, "Yeah, you got 17 tackles." I said, "No, I don't." Like, yeah. And I said, "What's the record?" I'm asking everybody, "What's the record? What's the record?" And then older people, some along like it's 25. And I'm looking at Coach Wiley. I'm like, wow, put me in the game. I want to play. And it's so early in the season, like, I can't honestly. If something happened, you get hurt, and so I'm like, I understand, but at that time I don't. I'm like, put me in the game. So still at that time, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to me because I know I could have got to 25 in the fourth quarter. I had 17 in the third, going to the third, and to me, it's like I can get 25 no brainer. Let me go. And I didn't get to get that milestone, but that was a big time and a great moment, especially with the pick six coming out at halftime and looking at Brandon Williams and me and him talking. We like, man, hey, a pick is coming. I'm gonna get one. And right when the play is going, me and B is just talking, and he like, watch the in route. And right when it comes, it's like, bam, there it goes, and we off to the races. So it was a very memorable game and something I'll never forget. And like I say, it was meant. I mean, just because the sky turned purple and everything was just meant for us. So it was just, I was grateful, and I thank God for that moment and that win. That was a big win for us.
Oh, definitely one of the biggest in ECU history, I think. I noticed in that game too. I watched. I love playing defense, and I watched defense a lot. I noticed in that game, you and Brandon Williams had a lot of chatter going on with. And I can't remember the first UNC quarterback because they had two in that game. Trubisky was one, and then the other one
was Williams.
Yeah, y'all had a lot of chatter going on with him too in the game. I was telling my daughter, I said, man, I wish they were mic'd up right now so I could hear what these guys are saying because they got a lot of chatter going on with him. And I think y'all got in his head because he didn't play much the rest of the game after that.
Nah, he was taking a couple blows, man. He was taking a lot of blows, and like I said, I grew up playing with him. Pop Warner football. He's from North Carolina too. So he's 30 minutes. He's actually from Shelby. So it's like 30 minutes away from me. So we grew up playing against each other all the time. So during that time, like I said, my godbrother played for Carolina, and I knew most of them boys because I would travel to Carolina, spend time with my brother. He'd come to ECU. So we knew each other.
Right.
So it was just it was fun. It was all love.
Oh yeah. I always say you play your enemies on the field for however long the 4 quarters are, but when it's over, if you want to be friends, you can be friends. But that's what I tell my guys when it's over, you're not enemies anymore. But yeah, it's all good. I've taught my share of back in the past.
Yeah.
Toughest opponent you went up against at ECU?
The toughest opponent. Man, nobody will understand. Actually, I want to say one of the toughest games that I played, toughest opponent. Somebody may say this and say that, but the toughest team I played against was that Middle Tennessee team my sophomore year. When we went to Middle Tennessee, man, they were so athletic, man. I'm talking about offensive linemen running backs, and they would get to the second level so fast. And that's one thing I remember. I'm just like, God, who is this team. Like, we done played the South Carolinas. We done played the big team. We done played Virginia Tech. We done played, but we really went down there and had a brawl with them, like an actual fight. And like I say, the offensive linemen, man, they was getting off blocks and coming up to the level so quick. And it was just reminding me, like, in every year, we was just like, every year we would bring that team up. Like, man, we ain't never seen an offensive lineman move that fast.
Right.
Like, it was unbelievable at that time, as far as, just playing Middle Tennessee, and we was playing the Virginia Tech and the North Carolinas and the South Carolinas. And for us to see that team come out the way they came out and prepared, and they worked that hard to be who they are, I think that was mainly one of the toughest games just far as them being a lower team, not in the SEC, not in the ACC.
Right.
But for someone that's been in a smaller conference that we played and came in, that was one of the toughest games.
Okay. So after your senior year, you don't get drafted, but you're picked up as a free agent by the Panthers. Now, going into that situation, when you got guys like Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, among others at linebacker, did you feel confident that you could make that roster?
I felt great. I actually did feel confident, and it was just getting past rookie minicamp. So really going to rookie minicamp, I got released.
Right.
I went out there and did what I had to do. I played. I did everything I had to do. That's how I felt. I felt I played well. I felt that I got somebody's attention at the time, and coming home from the rookie minicamp, I wasn't down at all because I felt like I played every linebacker in the rookie minicamp. And I can remember coming home and my mom telling me everything would be all right. And I told her, I said, I played the mom. Like, I actually told her, I said, I get a call back just shortly. And next couple of weeks, bam, call back. Panthers said, he wants you back, this and that. And I go in camp and had a great camp. Had a great preseason, had good preseason games, the 4 games I played. And actually, the 2 I played on defense, I actually came out with 7 tackles each game, just about. So it was a great experience, man, and just learning from those guys.
Yeah.
And at first, first practice, getting out there and just seeing the moves, and I'm like, wow, this is fast. So I'm seeing Luke move, I'm seeing TD move, and I'm seeing Shaq, and everybody just going back and forth. And I'm saying, like, my first practice, I'm there with my helmet and things on, not knowing what's going on. Don't know the playbook, know anything at the time. So it's just, like, overwhelming until, like, the next couple of weeks start picking up. And I'm just like, I can play with these guys. Learned everything. Everybody was taking me in, showing me different things. And just being around those guys, which I feel like is going to be Hall of Famers, TD.
Oh,
Luke,
definitely.
And, them guys, man, learning from them and being able to pick their brain with different things of how to play different coverages and just learning, man, the learning experience I would never forget. It was bright, it was good just being around them, knowing that all the time that everybody's not serious, man. It was just being in the locker room, being with grown men, the big kids that's loving the game of football and being able to play that all their life. It's a different experience, man, and knowing they get paid that much money, but they're still down to earth.
Right.
Guys want to help young guys and want to help others get better, knowing they've been playing 7 to 8 plus years, so, and them people, they don't have to do that.
No,
they really don't have to do that. They say it's different in different places, but I had a great time in Carolina, the only place I got to go to and be able to perform, so it was a great time, man, and I pray and hope that sooner or later, they give me another call back and I can go and do what I have to do again. So it was a great time being around those guys and learning and just being able to be in tune and being able to play those games and preseason games and showing what I could do and showing how I could play the game.
Yeah.
The energy and the motor.
It's definitely going to be weird this year seeing Thomas Davis in a uniform other than a Panthers uniform, seeing him play for the Chargers now. That's kind of sad. Kind of sad to see it. I mean, but you knew it was going to happen. They had been talking about it all last year, but see it just. There's a lot of guys that don't look right in other uniforms. I mean, Emmitt Smith didn't look right in a Cardinals uniform. Even back further, Franco Harris. I'm a big Steelers fan. Franco Harris in the Seahawks uniform didn't look right. And Thomas Davis, I don't know how that's going to look. I'm going to still see him in that Panther blue. Okay, got to get your thoughts on the direction ECU's going in. What are your thoughts about Coach Houston?
I don't know much of Coach Houston. I haven't been back to really get to know him or reach out to him, but hopefully soon I'll be able to get to talk to him. But from what I know from his previous team, all I know is great things, man,
Right.
from the places he's been. Everywhere he's been, he's grew his team, and he took his time to make his team the best team he could possibly have on the field. And I notice when he goes to places to play, his team comes to play.
Yeah.
And that's the motive, and that's the mentality that we're trying to get back at hard, especially with alumni. Man, we're on them boys just like the alumni is on us.
Right.
We want to see Pirate football again. We want to see everybody. We want to see the stands filled up again. We're not used to that. We're used to the boneyard being filled up.
Exactly.
Students there, the stands packed with 50, 55,000. So we're that's what we're used to. So I know he's coming in with the momentum, and he's coming in with his style of coaching. And thank God, Coach K is back, because has been in ECU before. And somebody that's been there and know the grind, know the mentality, know where the alumni and what the stands and what the fans are looking for, and which Coach Houston knows too. He's seen East Carolina grow. I know he saw some of the highlights and things like that, different teams we've had in numerous years back and forth. So I think they're on the right track, man, from what I'm seeing, and the coaching and the practices and the different things they're learning is things that they need. And I'm just hoping to see you get back on track and definitely be a ranked team here shortly.
Yeah, I can tell you, I've watched since '83, and even during the lean years in the mid '80s, ECU fans were always packing the stands, and to see how it was the last couple of years. I've got some guys I coached that go up there to ECU, and one of them, I think the last home game of the year last year, sent me a picture of the stands, and I was just like, wow, I just can't believe that it's got to that point. But like I said, it looks like he's taking a step in the right direction. A lot of Pirate Club members have already started getting the season tickets back, and hopefully, like you said, they'll be back on track, and we'll be looking at a top 25 team before too long. All right, before I let you go, we want to find out what are you up to now?
Well, right now I've been working. I'm back training. I'm getting ready to hopefully go back and play some football.
Right. I love hearing that.
I really don't know I know details right now, but I'll just wait until next month to give out details of where I'll be going and where I'll be playing. But I'm back training. I'm out here training clients or kids, individuals. It could be adults also, basically to the community.
Right.
Trying to help a lot of kids that we have out here that's very talented. Around North Carolina, and especially in my community in Gastonia, where I'm from, a lot of kids that look up to me, that like to train and like to work hard. And so I'm doing that. I'm working at ADS. I'm also working with mental illness.
Okay.
I work with mental illness. So I'm going back and forth, man, doing both, which in school, my major was child development, federal community service. So I guess you could say I'm a people's person.
Right.
And I know how to work with individuals. So, it's been good, man. Like I say, God's been blessing me. No injuries, bad injuries to my body that allowed me to stop playing the game. So I'm really excited to get going and get ready to play football again. I can't say it's going to be in the CFL. I do know the team, but I'd be rather to say that next month.
Okay. Okay.
So
well, that's good. I'm glad to hear this.
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded for another opportunity. And hopefully, go to CFL, do what I have to do, and hopefully I pray that things work out and I can get back into the NFL, and be with the team and play a few years and get everything going again. So that's what my mindset is on, and just getting in shape and being ready to go out there and play the game I've been loving since a little kid, and it's been taken from me here and there, but God's placed it back in my life. So only thing, I'm a true believer, if something's being placed in your life, it's the reason for everything.
Exactly.
So, I'm ready to put my 10 toes down and go back to work.
Well, you have to let me know when the time comes what CFL team this is. I don't watch much CFL ball, but I definitely will tune in to see you play again, and I'll be a big fan of that.
Definitely.
Great, that's made my day right there hearing that. So hopefully we'll see Zeek Bigger back in an NFL uniform before too much longer. But first we'll see him in a CFL uniform, and he'll tell us that when the time comes. Mr. Bigger, I can't tell you how big of a thrill this has been, how much I've enjoyed talking to you tonight. I've interviewed a lot of ECU players. You're pretty much the first one from that era of the team. Most of the guys I've interviewed have been Peach Bowl players. Did interview Terrence Copper, but one of my favorite teams was the team with you and Corden, Hardy, and all those guys. And I can't tell you how thrilled I was when I got your Twitter message back saying you would do the interview with me. I appreciate you taking time out. Thank you so much for doing this interview, and I'm going to let you go. But good luck and everything with training with the CFL team, and I hope to see you back on the NFL field in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and I thank you for having me, man. Anything for a Pirate, man. Anything, reach out to me anytime, Twitter. However, now you got my number, so if you want to have another talk next month where I'm going, we can do that also, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We'll get you on here again, and when you can let us know where you're going.
Definitely, and I enjoyed my time, and thank you once again for having me, man, and it was a great time, and go ECU.
That's right, go Pirates. All right, that's Zeek Bigger,
y'all.
Pirates,
yes, sir.
You have a good night, Mr. Bigger.
All right, you do the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.